Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Can you please confirm you can hear me? Yes, good evening. Good and beautiful evening once again. Welcome to Ladies in Tech Africa Bootcamp. It's that time where we once again talk about project management. With me on the coach tonight is Nancy Baba Ali. Good to be back here once again. And I'm sure Nancy Baba Ali have done a very wonderful job with everyone. Okay, yeah, I can see in the chat box. All right, Sanusi, good evening. Choice, good evening. Joke Adewi, good evening. Kemi, good evening. Kende, good evening. Suyele Jeta, Dorothy. All right, Sophie. Sophie, you are yet to pick your giveaway. I guess you're not on the Telegram group. Send a message, but no response from you. Please, if you are in a team, try to reach out to me via your team lead, or you can send a direct message on the Telegram platform so that you can redeem your giveaway for the last class. Okay, you're welcome. Good evening once again. So, how was the weekend? I think we can start from that. Tonight is going to be an all packed class as we do have. So, I just want to say, please, you don't need to miss tonight's class for any reason. Maybe after the class, you would agree with me why it's going to be the first class that would be very different. Tonight's class is going to be very different from all you have learned previously. So, please, please try to be on this roller coaster ride tonight with me, and I'm sure you won't regret it. All right, so, oh, Mother Sola, have missed me so much. I have missed you too, and all the participants. It's been quite engaging with Miss Nancy. She has done so well, amazingly well with every one of us. Okay. Hmm. So you are welcome. So let's share together. How was the weekend for you? All right. Yeah, there was a giveaway in the last class, Dorothy. Mr. Kingsley decided to give giveaways. So it's not common. So watch out for giveaways. Irene, yeah, it's good to be back. I missed everyone. Adesa, welcome. And yeah, Ayodele says she's excited. Wow, that's great. Joki says the weekend was a busy one for her. I quite agree. It could be very busy. JJ, wow, yeah, good to also have you. It's been a while. Or maybe I have not been the facilitator. Maybe that's why it's like, yeah, I'm bringing back memories of everyone. Egovi, yeah, good evening. Kemi, good evening. You're welcome. So I'm still asking out there, how was your weekend? Some say it's been busy. Oh, Rolly, quite sick over the weekend. I pray that you become strengthened. Okay? I pray for strength I pray that you get better and speedy recovery. Okay. All right. Tonight's class would make you get much better. Okay. Maduka Marachi, good evening. You're welcome. Dorothy says there was chairmanship elections in her state during the week. Are you from Akwa Ibom, Rivers? Where are you from? I'm sure. Yeah, Meshi Fashion World says the weekend was absolutely fine. All right, that's good. Sanusi, good evening. Good to have every one of us here. Okay. All right, so let's just take a few more pleasantries and know how we're doing. Adeni says, good evening, Mr. Kingsley. Good to have you back. And Nee, guess what? It's good to be back. Blessing many. Yeah, you're welcome. Good to have every one of us. Johnson Divine. It's good. It's fun to be back to do what we know how to do best. Talk project management with every one of us. So how are we doing in our teams as well? I'm sure by now we should be rounding off our activities for yeah. Week 4 brought us together as teams, and this is week 8, so we have to start planning to round off the teamwork. Okay, I'm sure we're doing good. So please try not to be so silent in your group, in your team rather. So try to be active, participate. Okay. Dorothy says she's from Akwa Ibom State, Mesere, or I'm descent tonight. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's been a while. Listen, JJ says she's missed 3 classes. Please try not to miss any other class. Okay. Just try. Okay. And also try to play the catch up. Okay. Try to catch up. All right. Yeah. Oluwaseyi says the weekend was awesome. Oh, Jesu Joan says, hello, Mr. Kingsley. Did you enjoy your weekend? Yes, I did. Had an amazing weekend. Very wonderful weekend. Very impactful, engaging, and very educative as well. Yeah. So we learn every day. Oh, Toyosi Elaimi says, good evening, everyone. She's thanking Mr. Kingsley for the other day. May God bless Mr. Kingsley. God bless you too. And God bless all our participants in Ladies in Tech. So I call you all Texas. Okay. So we're learning, we're improving, and knowledge is getting better. Angel, good evening. Adeni says, Otoyosi, share with us what he gave to you now. Okay. All right. I guess they still want some more giveaways. Omoda Sola says, Mr. Kingsley, I want to thank you for the other day too. Wow, such an interesting class. I don't know what I did. I don't think I did anything. Uh, where she's thanking me in advance for maybe her giveaway that's coming soon too. Okay, all right. So maybe let's stick around and see. Okay, maybe there may be another giveaway tonight. I can tell, but Sophie, please try to reach out. Okay. Uh, Blessing says, Mr. Kingsley, are you doing a giveaway? There was actually a giveaway in the last class. You know, there's always a blessing for those who come early to class. Okay. So I think it really took a lot of people unawares. Okay. All right. Giveaways. Okay. Noted. So, like I said, tonight's class is going to be the first class that will come with a difference. Okay. So, we're going to run at the speed of light, and um, there will be a break where we can ask questions, and then we move ahead. So, yeah. I really appreciate all the thanks in advance. But just know that the giveaways will definitely not be for everyone. It's going to be for those who brush up their communicative skills. Okay? Attentive listening, you're engaging, you're participatory, and you're showing that, yes, you're understanding what is being taught in class. So let's get back to what we learned in the last class. So for you, what was your key? What was the key takeaways from the last class for you? How was the last class, or did you learn maybe just one thing that struck out for you as a person? Faith, you're welcome. Your first class, okay? Don't worry. I know you would say yes, you've missed some things. Yes, you have, but start from tonight. Pick tonight's class first, and then you can always go back. There are YouTube videos you can watch to bring you up to speed. Okay, so once again, you're welcome, and you definitely have to be in a team. Okay, for one of the team tasks. Okay. All right, Akimpelu, you're welcome. Gift, you're welcome. I can see a couple of greetings. So, what was the key takeaway for you in the last class? So, let's get down to business tonight. What did you learn in the last class? How was it? One thing that struck for you from Miss Nancy's class, and then we move for there. We move further. All right, Ayodele takes the first shot. She says mine would be vendor selection. Okay, I guess maybe it struck for you because maybe you have a few engagements with some stakeholders, and you're thinking up there how best you can select your vendors. Akin Pelupi says that she's thanking Miss Nancy due to the story. Yeah, she gave about vendor selection. Yeah, I can relate with that. Otoyesi also says that key steps in procurement process, such as contract management and monitoring. Olatubosun says how best to select a vendor, signing a contract with the vendors to avoid stories that touch the heart. Yeah, in project management, especially, you would not want a situation where you have to tell stories. Yeah, shockingly, you can hear stories that there were contracts that were signed just verbally, and when it all goes wrong, who do you hold responsible? So it becomes all the more difficult. So you don't run contracts on just verbally. Okay, there should be working documents, there should be agreements, contract agreements. Yeah, I like what Olaide says here. Also, she picked contract agreement, vendor selection. Yeah, the key terminologies. Yeah, request for quotations and proposals, and then also the importance of procurement, soliciting, and then needs definition. You need to have to understand what are the needs, and you also need to assess it as well. Okay, so it's very key for us. Yeah, Zoe, you're welcome. Saratu says contract management and its key elements, and most importantly, its importance in projects. Sophie also goes for that to talk about dispute resolution. Yes, Olaide, I read what you wrote. Yeah, key, very good. Yeah, I just talked about it just quite a short while ago. Okay, Egofe says firstly, she loved how Miss Nancy was accommodating towards the situation we had last week. Empathy, yeah, it was really a touching moment for every one of us, especially your co-facilitator Nancy. Yeah, she was really into it. Okay, and she also mentioned about vendor selection, that she learned it's very important for a project success because it also helps you to save cost. So very key, very important. Ishol, you're welcome. Olaide, I did. Okay, except maybe there's something else you want me to you drawing my attention to. Okay. Uh, Adetola says it's important to have different people in your team. Yeah, legal. Yeah, legal. There's a legal aspect to project management, especially in the project life cycle. Okay, So we talked about that. I think in the first three classes, the first 3 weeks of the the program or the boot camp, we did mention, we talked about something that had to do with understanding the legal processes, okay, and also having solicitors for your program, your project. Edith Kalu, you're welcome. Yeah, Kemi says she now understands the difference between invitation to bid and request for quotations. Yeah, that's all good. Okay, so I think I see a lot of vendor selection, vendor negotiation, and I think it's key. I think it's touching different aspects of what we do and our engagement. Okay, so I think that's quite cool, right? So Zoe says it's quite important to select your vendors because these vendors either make or mar your project. I quite agree with that as well. So how? Yeah, Denise says, yeah, same. She's talking also about vendor selection. Okay. So I think there's something that is striking tonight, vendor selection. So it plays a very important key. It's key to our projects. Okay. And then Jenny also Sophie says, please, Mr. Kingsley, give me a link to collect my gift. Okay. All right. I think the community manager is here. I think she would send you a message on that. Okay. But if she doesn't, please do remind me much later in the class. Maybe. Okay. All right. So I don't know, but you should be on the Telegram platform. I don't know if you're not on a platform, but you should be there. Okay. Jenny says she also learned about the components of, yeah, the various components, like procurement management process. Okay. Procurement planning, determining what needs to be procured, how much, and when to procure. Very key. All right. And then procurement process, contract management, vendor selection. That's Angel Jumbo. And Egove is also saying that she also learned that in contract management negotiation is important and having a legal backing in case the contract is breached. So it's very important. We've all given clear, beautiful, wonderful feedback. So Beautiful Gift says, good evening, Mr. Kingsley and teammates. You're welcome, Beautiful Gift. Okay, right. So there are a lot of terminologies that I am seeing here tonight. It means that we're learning and we're learning seriously. So please, going forward, try to ensure that you do a recap of what you've learned in the past 7 weeks. Okay, so because it will come in handy every time you gain experience in project management. So, all right, tonight let's delve into the business of the hour. Sorry about that, Dorcas. Okay, all right. I hope you get dry soonest and then you join us for the class. So tonight we will be delving into project monitoring and control. Project monitoring and control. Yeah. So, project monitoring and control is one of, yeah, Choma, you're welcome. I think it's like you just stepping in. Okay. Yeah. So, in the life cycle of every project, we identified 5 stages. We talked about initiation, planning, execution, project monitoring and control, and then closure. Okay. So, in project monitoring and control, we will be looking at the need to control, to monitor and control. Let me start from the literal meaning of monitoring and control. So let's go back to the chat box. Let's just discuss a little. What do you think, to you, the word project monitoring and control? What do you make out of that? What is monitoring and control in project? Mind you, they are two different things. Okay, so you can define both. You can pick either of the two to define, and then let me hear from you. What do you think in a layman's understanding? Okay, even if, for example, we're not having this class and you're talking to friends, colleagues, you know, what is project monitoring and control to you? You're welcome back, Chima. I guess you've not been around for a few classes. Okay. Welcome, Matthew Victoria. You're welcome. Gozi Favor, you're welcome. Good to have you all back to the class tonight. So, project monitoring and control, what is it to you? Blessing Many says effective supervision of a project. Zoe says it is the ability to properly oversee every aspect of a project. Gift says is tracking the performance of a project. Jenny, I think I pick what you're saying. Careful scrutiny and survey. Jesu John says, in her understanding, it means overseeing every step of the project. Okay. Omodasolo says, making sure everything is going on well and fine. Egovi says, it's about supervising each phase of the project to see if it is actually progressing or suffering some setbacks or bottlenecks. Following through on project to see how it goes. Tolapo, thank you. Irene, I also agree with you that it is the process to oversee or supervise the progress of the project. Yeah, Mother Sola says yes in a layman's language. I love that. You see, one thing we should understand is every time you have an opportunity to learn, try to bring down your definition to what any person, anywhere, any day, anytime can relate with. Okay? All right. Thank you. Thank you. I see a whole lot of definitions. Dorothy, you're welcome in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And supervision done during the project process to prevent defects or some short sort of risk, overseeing the entire project life cycle. Okay, so I can see that, yeah, from the chat box, we have a pretty cool idea of what exactly project monitoring and control is about. So it's not new to us. It's not new. So there is need, whether yourself as a project manager or someone else, there need to be adequate routine, step by step, time to time supervision. Watch out. You need to be on the lookout. What exactly is happening in the project? If you don't do that, the project would suffer. And when we say suffer, it means that it may be uncontrollable. It can even cause damage that you cannot even do damage control. So very key, very important. So let's start up tonight. Okay, I really appreciate everyone who have um, taken time to provide feedback on what she feels is the definition of project monitoring and control. Okay, I will be making reference to some of your definitions at some point. Okay, I have seen Akimpelu Peace, Matthew Victoria. You're still thanking me in advance for the giveaways. Okay, no problem. Saratu, Priest, Bumi, Angel, Matthew, Dorcas. Yes. So there must be tracking of the progress of the project. Very important. Okay, so these are things that we must watch out for. Okay, all right, so let's delve quickly. Tonight is going to be a whole lot. We need to study so much. I need you to please flow along with me. Okay, so there will be times for questions. Please just jot them down, and I'm sure we're going to have a very interesting moment. What is project monitoring and control? All right, so that's the first thing that comes to mind tonight. So project monitoring and control starts as soon as a project begins. So the moment you kickstart any project, the moment you kickstart any project, what happens? You have started monitoring, you have started controlling. Okay? So it refers to these processes where the performance of the project is measured and action taken based on an analysis of specified data. So it's very important to understand that the project process must be monitored. The performance of the project must be monitored and what? Controlled. So everything you're doing must be monitored and controlled. Let's take, for example, you are to deliver a road construction project, 10-kilometer road construction work. You must be on ground as a project manager to ensure that the work, the quality of equipment brought on site are adequate enough to embark on this project from start to finish. You must be on ground to also ensure that the resources, other resources, man and materials, cement, asphalt, limestone, gravel, sharp sand, whatever that you need. Of course, budget. So everything must be monitored. Are we spending according to plan? Have we overshoot our budget? Are there any kickbacks? Are there any setbacks? Are there challenges that we are noticing on this project that is affecting the work that we are doing? So we must understand that every stage of the project must be monitored. So there is no room for failure. There is no room for trying to look at the project like, how am I going to run this? So you must understand that the project is an entity in itself, and you must understand that it needs to be monitored and controlled. So what is monitoring? We're talking about performance. We're talking about actions. Okay? So regular, what is monitoring? Monitoring here refers to the regular observation and recording. I chose these words: routine collection, recording, reporting of information concerning the performance of the project that the project manager and other stakeholders involved in this project needs to be aware of. So there must be some level of routine, regular follow-up, collection, recording, reporting of information day to day, week by week, month by month, phase by phase. You are monitoring the project process and the project performance. You are monitoring the team roles and their responsibilities. You are taking a look at the task performed by each team member on board the project. You are looking at the what? The process. You are looking at the task. You're looking at the budget. You're looking, so no stone should be left unturned. You're watching out for every step, every phase to see, is there any issue that you're encountering at every stage of the process? Are you meeting milestones? Are you seeing the expected outcomes? If the expected outcomes are not there, you have to review. So That's that process of looking out, watching out, trying to find out the performance of every single item on the project is monitoring. You're checking on how project activities are progressing, and you're also giving feedback about the project process to the sponsors, to the donors, to the implementers, and the beneficiaries. So that process is what we call monitoring. Okay. All right. So whatever we do to ensure that the project is in line, is in tune with the work plan, with the charts you have prepared, with the steps that you have put down to ensure that you get the final destination, is what we refer to project monitoring. Then when we talk about control, we use the data that we analyze from what is exactly happening on the project. So from monitoring, from the feedback you receive from the actual performance of the project, is what you use to control the project. Oh, we budgeted 500 million naira for phase 2 of the project. Now we have spent 700. That is an overshoot of 200,000 naira. What do 200 million naira? What do you do? There must be control. As much as you did not plan to overshoot, you need to now control, or else you damage the process. So whatever you do from initial estimation and brings you to what lessons are we learning or have we learned, to analyze what exactly the project is going through, either it is succeeding or failing, you are now embarking on what we call control. So that is monitoring and control. Now, why do we have monitoring and control? There are two aspects that go side by side. They work together. Okay? So in working together, there are things we need to monitor. What do we need to monitor? We monitor time, we monitor money, we monitor resources. These are things that come into the project. So we bring in time, we bring in our money, cost, money. We bring in resources, we bring in materials, we bring in task, because people, man, have to perform certain tasks for the project to move from one phase to another. We bring in quality. There should be some measure of standard. There should be a minimum standard that we cannot go beyond. And we also bring in what we call technical expertise. So that technical expertise is what makes the project rich in knowledge. So if you're going to do better on the project, quality, technical performance, or expertise is very important. So in monitoring these inputs, we expect as output to see progress. We expect to see that the costs are effectively utilized. We expect to see that the project moves from one point to another, from initiation to completion. We also expect to see if, for example, you're engaging in either an engineering project, an NGO project, an entrepreneurial project, or design, we expect to see changes. And also we expect to see variation order. So we will talk about some of these things as we move ahead. So there is need for us to understand that the project, yes, Bumi says we need to monitor the conduct of staff, that's your team, key project staff, as regards carrying out the assignment. Yeah, sure, that's very important. So a lot of things we must track, we must analyze, we must control the progress of the project and its subsequent performance. So what do we need? The goal of every project is to see that we bring it to a wonderful conclusion. So every project assumes continuity. The moment you start on the project, you must be regular, you must walk through a process, you must think logically, you must think creatively, you must also start the project as soon as possible, you must take every task from initiation to completion, and then engage in what we call pre-planned decision points. So at every phase of the project, day by day, hour by hour, week by week, day by day, week by week, month by month, there are pre-planned decision points that we must take, or else the project will become stagnant. Now we've talked about monitoring. Let's take a little delve into control. Why control? Most of the time, you see projects having issues. Some projects are not completed. We have a lot of abandoned projects. So what could be the problem? Sometimes the projects have gotten out of hand. Constraints, competing constraints have affected the progress of the project. So we embark in control because we need to correct deviations from the plan. Sometimes you can be involved in a project and it's not going as planned. Why is it not going as planned? Is it because of time? Is it because of cost? Or is it because of performance? So these are things that we need to understand. For every project, there must be competing constraints. So no, it's not a roller coaster ride having embarking on a project, because you can find yourself stuck in between. Okay, some years back, I was involved in what we call database management, database updating of resources that had to do with um, boreholes, um, water facility points, wells, places where we have uh, to understand activities that involve water in Nigeria. So after a while, a lot of people were involved in this project. We had foot soldiers, surveyors, enumerators going at different places, picking up water points. Some of these places are hard to reach areas. You can't go on foot, you have to go by boat. Some places, you get there and you find people who are not willing to give responses or tell you even where these water points are. So you discover that at the point where you need information, a place where you have to walk for 2 days, now the rain sets in, it affects the project. So A work of 2 days has to take you 3 or 4 more extra days. So you can see that time schedule is already affecting the project. So what do? You have to control. So we had to control. Now we notice that, oh, there are hard to reach areas which were captured in our feasibility studies. Okay, quite all right. But on the field, sometimes on the field challenges exist, not just what you put down on paper. So what do? We had to look back, deploy more teams in those areas to assist, so that the work of 2 days we have taken more extra days, or taking extra days rather, had to be covered by a larger number of teams. So some of the time, control is very key in project process. So after monitoring, we discovered that, oh, these areas are being affected by heavy downpour, and it takes longer time to reach where then you need to get to pick the people who will take us to where those locations are. It takes further more time than was estimated. So you have to work, to replan, and then you control. So you need to look back at the timing, the cost, because it affected us time wise, it affected us cost, and also the performance also was affected as well. Ngozi Favor says, Mr. Kingsley, please zoom your screen a little more. I guess you can refresh your browser. Okay, so I think it's quite clear. It's clear enough. So I don't know why you are not seeing it quite clearly. So Ogolua says there are unforeseen circumstances which might occur during implementation of the project. So it happens. So these are things you should prepare for. Okay, so yeah, so project control is very key, because some of the times certain things may occur, unforeseen circumstances that would, want to deviate you from the original plan. Okay, so how would this process help? We need to understand that we need to report the status of the project as at that particular time. We need to review the project with the stakeholders involved in the project process. We also need to control what we call schedule variances, which we are going to see later, and then control the scope and the change requests. Sometimes there could be change requests. Okay, and then we had an issue where some of the tablets that we used to record, to take geolocations of the water points, some of the equipments failed. Some of them had battery issues at some point. Some also had issues to do with network selection. So there are places you go to, there was no MTN or Airtel or Globacom or Etisalat. So you had to, maybe after a while, you move a few distances and the network comes in. So you just have to take the readings, and then later you have to upload them. So some of the times you can apply for a change request. Maybe this system, the tablet is not functioning properly, or something else happened. You need extra data to work. So then you also have to control budget. So as you're working, you're also monitoring the budget. Are we under budgeting? Are we right on track, or are we over budgeting? And then finally, you have to track and mitigate risk. So there are places you have to go to. You find out, like I said earlier, there are places you need to go to by boat. What time of the day do these boats come in? So you need to utilize effectively the timing, and also if there are areas where you need to check what are the risks, the high, are the low, the medium, then you need to check up on them. Okay, and see how we can correct that process. So yeah, if we are together, please, in the chat box, can you say, yeah, you're here. Let's just be together. Let's be sure that we are together. Are we together? Can you hear me loud and clear? Are you picking something from the class tonight? Let's see if we are rolling together. All right, Olaide says she's here, so that's cool. All right, Oluwaseyin says I'm here, priest. Well done, congratulations, thank you. So I think, yeah, the weather also is playing a factor tonight. Okay, so let's move further in the class. So we will talk about what we call end value management. So like I said, tonight's class is a bit different. So you have to follow through so that we can be on the same page. What is end value management and why do we need it? So end value management involves making project decisions by utilizing the early warning signs based on data, variances, and trends. Greg Evans, a motivational speaker, says, "Be not afraid of flying. Angels live in the clouds and the devil on the earth." So if you'd say that because angels live in the clouds, you will not fly, you want to stay on the earth, definitely be aware that the devil is also on the earth. So what am I saying in essence? It's very key for us to understand that we should not be afraid to take risk in project management. So it's also important to note that there are warning signs in every project. So when you see these signs, these early warning signs, let's say for example, um, you're a baker or a caterer, and for one reason or the other, you need to you you bought some of the materials that are needed for um, a particular delivery, and at some point you checked the floor and discovered that it's not really the kind of floor that gives you what you want, and you simply just ignored it and like, I think I can manage, when I mix other things. And but you know that sometimes when you try to mix those things, it doesn't give you the crisp in nature of what you need, the end product. Maybe um, you're making donuts, you're making what do you call it? Meat pie, chicken pie, whatever it is. At the end product is not very satisfactory. But when you pick the early warning signs that I think I won't go with this floor, because if I do, it's going to affect the project. You pick the red flags early enough. So end value management talks about you picking those early warning signs. And yes, somebody's mentioned party jollof. Yes. So Chuma, thank you. So sometimes you can see those signs early enough. There's this rice you go to buy in the market. Maybe you are into events and you're making you're preparing meals for like 500 guests, not just 10 guests, something that you can just, for over 500 guests. And you touch the rice, you want to buy in the market. And when you look at it, the feel, sometimes you say it's not that one, not that rice. Some say it's not bull rice, it's not Thailand, it's not this, it's not that. And you know the kind of rice that gives you that party jollof that you need, and you ignore the signs, man. At the end of the day, you may end up having a soaked party jollof rice. When you pack it, it won't stay for 20 minutes, it won't stay for 30 minutes in the pack. And when it's opened, it just dawns on you that whoever whoever opens it to say, who prepared this. They may even walk up to the celebrant and say, I mean, who did you give this kind of thing to prepare for you? What kind of thing is this? So you already, the feedback, I mean, it's spoiling, it's bad market already. So Saratu says yes, or it gets spoiled easily. Yes, the heat, the packaging. After the packaging, the heat does not allow it to, to plug in properly for you. And I mean, the goal of every event person is let my business sell itself. Okay. So the same way it is for every other project. Okay. So it's going to tell a lot. Okay. So why now I choose to bring up the slide because every project has its inherent challenges. So every project, there's something with every project. There's a challenge with every project. So it's either that the funds were not spent on what exactly should be spent, or the budgeted cost of the work does not really meet up with what was accomplished. Do you actually get value for money? You know, did you overspend? Did you underspend? Did you meet up with time? Or you didn't even meet up with time? Or the effort that you put into one particular task was not really quantifying or justifiable for what it was given? It could also be that the time frame for that particular task or project was above board. So every project has its challenges. So you cannot run away. You cannot run away. Okay? So yeah. Uh-huh. So Kim Pelu says it's giving my dad's birthday food. Okay, that kind of outcome is disastrous. So yeah, so the whole lot that comes to mind. So every project has its challenges. So have that at the back of your mind. So when you see challenges in your project, don't say, oh. Be ready to take it hands on. Be ready to face the project. See the challenges as progress, as work in progress for you. Okay? And move with it. Well, Jenny says, Mr. Kingsley, you just described the ordeal I went through with a cake order during the week. Sorry about that. Sometimes you can even bake after you made a three-step cake for a wedding. You made it on Friday night, or maybe you started on Thursday, and by Friday evening, the cake is already settling in. One part of the cake is settling in. It's sinking. You now start looking for something to pad it. If only the celebrant can see that the fondant, that which you're using to clothe the cake is not, I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, if the celebrant should see the padding inside the cake, I'm sure they will not give you business again. So some of the time, these are the things that we notice. So do not ignore warning signs in your project. Very important, very key. Okay, so why end value management? Why? It gives us the early warning signals so that we can take corrections while there is still time. It gives us the early warnings. It provides us with an idea of how much on the project. It gives us an idea of how many hours we're going to impute on that project. It also tells us the kind of measure of progress we are going to impute on every task in that project. And it gives you an opportunity to consolidate the progress of the many tasks that you are embedding in that particular project. So you cannot ignore this in your project planning. So earn value. What am I going at the end of the day? What will be the value that this project brings to the table? So you must be ready to apply best practice. You must be ready to follow through with understanding what are the deliverables, what are the time frames, what are the costs, whether they're direct costs or indirect costs. You should also understand that every project, every task comes with its own details. So whatever the work breakdown structure, would it be out of scope or within the scope of the project? You need to understand. And also it tells you clearly the budget, how to control your budget, what exactly you need to do, how many hours, what effort you're going to put in. So that is the goal of end value management. Of course, are there benefits? Yes, there are benefits. There are benefits. I just talked about it earlier in the previous slide. It gives you a better informed process how you can accomplish your goal. So it tells you, okay, this is exactly how much I think we would spend. And as a project progresses, this is how much we have spent. And I think that we will not overshoot. Or I think we will, or we may overshoot. So it forecasts very well for you. It helps you to identify problems. It helps you to identify whatever the issues are and analyze these data as you capture them. It helps to improve project performance. It helps us to have a mind view. What exactly would be the final cost of the project? When are we expected to deliver? So you can tell, certainly, you can beat your chest and say, whatever it is, I'll deliver 500 pieces of chicken pie by 11 the following day, because you know that the processes to achieve it, you have set it well on ground. It helps you to make key critical project decisions. So you now know what the actual is, you know what the projected is, you know you can speak of the present, you can speak of the now, you can speak of the future, simply because you have done adequate analysis of the project. Then it also helps you to improve, we talked about, you mentioned vendor selection. So it helps you to improve vendor customer relationship. So now you understand that you know your vendors. You can speak with confidence. It exudes confidence in you that you are going to speak from an informed perspective. You're not speaking like somebody who is confused. It creates a culture of openness, trust, honesty, integrity. What you're doing, you've done it before. You're ready to do it again, and you're going to perform. And it gives you value for money. So when we return after the break, we will delve straight into the nitty-gritty of some of the key concepts and key definitions in earned value management. So, right, we'll take a break and to have our attendance. So, take some time, fill up the attendance, take a breather, and then I'll see you on the other side of the hour. Once again, it's Ladies in Tech Africa Bootcamp Project Management course. See you after the break. Welcome back to the second half of tonight's class. How has it been so far? Welcome back. In the chat box, can I just get a few comments? How's the class been so far for you? All right. Jesse John says it's been an engaging and mind-opening class. Interesting, Oluwaseyin says. Okay, so we still have a whole lot to do tonight. I'm sure in the next 30 minutes you would see if it's been more engaging, more interesting, and on. So I would like to hear from Jenny Etta how she was able to resolve the issue with the cake. Sheyi says it's been awesome. You sound like a radio presenter. Okay, all right. So let's say I'm a facilitator. Okay, so that's me for you. Okay, maybe we would have Ladies in Tech Africa radio station, maybe at some point. Okay, all right. That's just on the light note. Okay, so we're back tonight to Egove says exactly. I know. Okay, so let's run at the speed of light tonight and see if we can achieve what we have set out tonight. So there are three things I'm going to explain tonight. So move with me so that we can have an understanding of these terms. All right, Marina kid, don't worry. Okay, don't worry. Just listen. Listen to me. You'll get more. Okay, don't worry. Okay, don't be discouraged. Okay. All right. So we have what we call the planned value. Okay. What is planned value? We have planned value, we have actual cost, and we now have the end value. The earned value is actually where our goal is tonight. But I choose to bring in these three terms so that as a project manager, you can have a better understanding of the metrics, okay, how it works. So what is planned value? Okay, we see planned value as the cash flow based on the completion of tasks in accordance with the project budget and schedule. Now you have planned to make 500. I don't want to use this baking thing again. So that I know someone asked me if I bake. So let me just go there. Let's take something else. Okay. So you're to visit an IDP camp, and the budget for that has been set out for that visit is 1 million naira. Now, that is the planned value. It is the planned cost of the total amount of work scheduled to be performed by that milestone date. And you can also say it is how much was planned to have been accomplished at that given point in time. So we planned 1 million naira for that project. That is what we planned. Now, what is the actual cost? Did we actually spend 1 million naira? Let's say we planned 1 million, but we didn't spend 1 million. We spent roughly about 800,000 naira. That's the actual cost. So that's the cost you incurred to accomplish that work. Okay? So now see the difference. Planned 1 million, actual 800,000. Now, what is the earned value? The amount of the budget that should have been spent for a given amount of the work. So the planned is not the actual cost, to complete the work that has been done. So how much value in terms of persons, in terms of hours, based on the main budget, the planned budget, and what has been accomplished at a given point in time. So the value that amount places for you on the project is your earned value. Okay? Okay? So now let's look at now. Remember, we have three sides. Okay, we have the PV, we have the AC, and we have the EV. So the planned value is the one to my extreme left. So if you're watching from your screen, you should be seeing the extreme left is your planned value, the middle box is your actual cost, and then the one on your right hand side is the end value. Okay, so what is the total project expected to cost? You have planned. That's what you planned. So there's what we call estimate at completion. We call it EAC. So these are terminologies, okay, which I want you to know. It's going to help you. So you can call it estimate at completion. So we have estimated that by the time we end our visit at the IDP camp, it's 1 million naira. Okay. So it is also, you can say it is your actual cost plus your estimated time cost, or the estimated time for completing that particular task. So what is the when you talk about now actual, what is the expected to complete the project? We call it estimate to completion. No, now we have estimate at completion. We also have estimate to completion. And then we have what is the expected under or overspend. So did we underspend? Did we overspend? So that gap is what we call variance. Okay? That is what we call what? The variance. That 200,000, that gap that was left, the variance. What was the project supposed to cost? So you look at the budget at completion, you subtract it from the what? Estimate at what? Completion. So we budgeted. So the project was we planned that the project will cost us 1 million. At the end, it costed us about 800,000. So we still have about 200,000 left. So what are we supposed to do? So when you look, I don't know if this diagram is very clear, but I think we can see this diagram. Okay. The EV is not clear. Planned, okay, not PC. Is it PC? Not PC. Let's see. In your bunk. Okay, let me see. I need to get what you're saying here. Yes, yes. Oh no, Chioma, don't no. Okay. All right. Just calm. Be calm, okay? See, let's go back. Let me take you back to the previous slide. Now, what is planned value? Look at, I just said 1 million naira, right? That's your planned value. The amount you have set aside, this is what we are supposed to spend on this particular task at the IDP camp. Then actual costs. See, all these things are English language. Get the explanation, okay? Right? So if you get the explanation, I think it solves the English language. When you say cost incurred, how much was spent? So that's why I decided to break it down into 3 different levels. So if you can pick actual project expense, you can pick cost incurred. If you can pick cost incurred, you can also say the amount that was actually spent. I think that's It's quite understandable that way, I guess. Okay. All right. So we're looking at now, what is end value? Amount of the budget that should have been spent for a given amount of the work completed. So the planned, not the actual cost to complete the work that has been done. Or I can say how much value in terms of persons or hours that have been accomplished at a given point in time. And then I went further to say, let's look at, can you call the planned value the estimate at completion? So when you estimate, you've not completed it, but you're estimating that it will cost us 1 million naira to execute that project. That is the estimate at the completion. So what are you estimating to complete with? 800,000. Like, okay, um, I think worst case scenario, we will spend 500,000, or worst case scenario, we're going to spend 800,000 naira, the actual cost. And then when you have a variance. For example, if you spend well over 1 million naira, let's say you spend 1.2. So that variance, that price difference, okay, the price difference between what you budgeted, the planned, and the actual, that variance is what we are talking about as your end value there. Okay, so the variance is here, the budget at completion. So what did you spend at completion? 1.2 million. What did you estimate at completion? 1 million. What was the actual? For example, if you're not talking about 1.2, maybe actual, you now have 800,000. So you're going to subtract from that. So that gives you your variance. That gives you your end value. Okay. We were able to save 200,000 naira. That's great. Wow. Thank you so much for saving that. Okay. So what is EV? End value. EV is end value. Okay. AC is actual cost. PV is what? Planned value. Okay. All right. So let's go back. Well, I guess the network is dealing with some persons here. Egovi says, so actual cost is supposed to be ETC. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead. So when you talk about, I just provided some of these terminologies because you can meet them anywhere. You can see them somewhere. So it doesn't sound like strange to you. Okay. You can meet it anywhere. Okay. So I just want to provide you that platform to understand what they are, so that when you see them somewhere, you will not feel biased. You're like, you're a project manager and you don't know what end value is. You don't know what estimate at completion or estimate to complete, or the budgeted actual value, or whatever it is. You don't know what it is. So when you look at the diagram, there's a dotted line in the middle. So the dotted line in the middle is telling us that this is where we are today on the project. Remember, every project has a yesterday, a today, and a future. So that future date may be the actual end date of the project. So you can tell what is the actual cost. What have you spent up till this day that we are? How much have you spent on the project? That's your actual cost. Then the planned value, or the planned cost, is what? You plan it, it runs through the end of the project. So you're not spending it today completely. And then the end value is the value or the cost of what has been accomplished to date based on what you have in your plan. So what is the value in terms of value? What has that project brought to you? Okay, I don't know, but I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. The actual. So you have different situations. Kemi says, so should we say end value is what should have been spent at a milestone? End value is not necessarily money. Yes, thank you, peace. It's not necessarily money. So end value. Okay. Now, at the end of let's say you want to supply, um let me go back to use donuts. You're supplying 500 pieces of donuts. Okay. And you are asked to provide the estimate. What exactly? Okay, how much would you now do your calculations? One donut is about, let's say, 500 naira, and then you multiply by 500 pieces to give you maybe 250,000 naira. Okay, that's your planned, that's the PV. Okay, now how much what's your actual cost? You only gave that 250,000 because you feel that that is what it will take you at the end of the day to prepare that particular donut. So now you're now going to supply. You've gone to market, and at the end of the day, you have run your expenses. What actually did it cost you? How much did it cost you? 200,000 naira. Mind you, the end value can be positive, it can be negative. Some of the time, the problem is this: you can overshoot, you can undershoot your budget. So what has that particular project earned for you in terms of value? Can you, is it, if you cost it, sometimes you said that even this amount of money that I've earned on this project, even if what I'm gaining, I'm not gaining like in terms of profit 50,000 naira, but in terms of wealth, what have I? Thank you, blessing. The end value for today is what you learned at the end of the class. So what is the actual cost of being in this class? You know the actual cost. It's costing you data, it's costing you time, it's costing you resources. But the planned value, at the end of the day, you've not even arrived at your planned value. Because some of the time, your planned value can be in the mind's eye. You don't even have it. So our focus is not on the actual, on the planned. Our goal is on the end value. But I am bringing in two other matrices that has to run side by side with end value. So you need to understand that for you to get the end value, you need to know the actual and you need to know the planned. Thank you, Dorothy. Thank you. So I think we're getting some. I don't really expect you to understand like almost immediately, because it's a process. For some of us in the class, you will get to understand it even after this class. So you can see that there's a variation between cost and time. So for your planned value is you have made up your mind that, see, come to the worst. This is the budget, for example. Every project has different phases. The planned value may be at the end of a particular task. It may not even be at the end of the particular project process itself. Okay? So that is it. Okay. So now we're moving somewhere. Okay? Now, look at another aspect of the diagram. In your actual cost, you can actually over budget or you can be behind schedule. Like there are those who are just joining the class right now. There are those who started this class with us. And some of them, for one reason or the other, they will not end this class today. Maybe network will take them off, or one thing or the other will just happen. They have to be out of the class. So what is it telling you and I? It's telling us that in your planning, in your planned value, there is room for the fact sometimes you can over budget. You don't end up spending close to what you budgeted. And sometimes you spend even far more than what you have budgeted. So on the actual, so when you see the difference, when you over budget, you see the difference between what you have planned and what you are seeing on the spot as actual. I have over budgeted. What do I need to do? Control. Because you're monitoring progress. And while you're monitoring is affecting you, you see what I've not really done. I didn't get it right. What do I need to do? We need to control. Or are you behind schedule? In the meanwhile, the end value is just there, looking at you, staring at you in the face. What have I earned? If you're over budget, it's going to affect your earned value. If you're behind schedule, it would also affect your end value. Yes, end value can be positive or negative. So we're getting there. End value. Some of the things we need to understand. Now, I will bring us back to understand. We're talking about variance. So the actual goal of this class is to look at what we call the end value. And when you're looking at end value, you must understand variance. Sometimes it could be positive, sometimes it could be negative. Okay? Don't take the class like, mathematics. We are just trying to look at some of the indices that will help you when you are looking at earned value management. So what is cost variance? The difference between the estimated cost and the actual cost. So you will have a negative value when you over budget or when you are behind schedule. You will have a positive value when you what? You have profit. That is not profit per se. You have like you didn't spend all the resources that were required for that particular task. Like 100,000 is a positive value for you. While if you spent 1.2 million, the 200,000 and run behind what you budgeted for a project, which is your planned value. So sometimes it could be that there were deviations from the budget, or there were things that came up in between the project that you needed to attend to. Okay. So the cost variance is actual costs or what you budgeted less the actual. So leave what is written on the screen. Just listen to what I'm telling you tonight. So your cost variance is the difference between what you estimated and what you actually spent. Okay, so that is the difference. So whatever terminology we are putting down, so I we've talked about actual cost. We've talked about end value. All right, please can you confirm if you can hear me? Let me be sure that I'm back. Or okay. All right. I guess the network did push me out. Okay. All right. So in a nutshell, we're talking about actual cost, and number three is end value. And we have 1 million naira. Okay. So with 1 million naira, we embarked on the visit to the IDP camp. So at the moment we got to IDP camp with 1 million and we spent 800,000. With the actual cost we spent is 800. Okay. And we had 1 million, which is our planned value. Okay. Of course, the end value is the returns we get on that visit. So after that, if peradventure we spent 1.2 million, we have overshoot the budget, which means that our cost variance will be negative because we overspent. But if we spent 800,000 and we had 200,000 in our bag to go back with, our cost variance will definitely be positive. Why? Because we did not overshoot the budget. I think that's clear enough. So if you understand that, please can you just say, yes, I think I understand it more better now. Yes, can I see on the chat box? I think I understand that clearer now. Okay, thank you, Dorothy. Thank you, Egove. So Ruli says who we pay for over budget. That's the problem. But we are going to talk about that later in what we call change management. Cost variance. So the variance, yeah, that variance is what we are looking at. because the end value, the end value, yes, Akin Pelu, everything we do in life, everything has mathematical principles attached to it. So don't think about the word mathematics. Think about understanding the concept. Okay? So if you understand the concept, it makes it better. Okay? All right. So now let's look at CPI, cost performance index. Why do we say cost performance index? So we want to know whether truly we are doing well on the project. So if you have a ratio greater than 1, okay, it means yes, you are doing well. So CPI is your end value, which you can divide with the the end value less the actual cost. Okay. So I think it's better just to keep it as simple as that. Yes, Angel Jumbo says even baking has maths in it. Yes, you will measure flour, you will take, I think they have measuring cans and all those things, which you must measure. So you need to understand this. Okay, so let's move away from mathematics a little and come back to what we call schedule variance. Okay, so let's talk about why do we talk about schedule variance? We're talking about schedule variance because it is concerned with progress, project progress. So what I have done, so the difference between what we have done now, this current state of progress, and what is expected as progress. Like, for example, by like today, we ought to have finished, for example, today we ought to finish end value management. We ought to finish the discussing on it. And if, for example, we don't, we now say, okay, what exactly is the variance, the schedule variance? We would say that we look at what is left, the difference between where we are stopping tonight and what is left for us to cover in this particular class is our scheduled variance. I think it's as simple as that. So if we don't finish, we are negative. So we have a negative variance. But if we are able to complete our slides, it means we are on a positive what? Variance. So that is what it is. Cost variance has to do with what? The cost, okay? Looking at the cost, while schedule variance have to look at what? The progress of the task that you have made. So those are the difference in what we call cost metrics and schedule metrics. Of course, if you want to measure the performance, if you say that, yes, we're able to exhaust our slides for tonight, it means we have a ratio greater than 1. But if we are not able to exhaust it, then we have a ratio less than 1. I think that is what it is. Okay, so enough of mathematics, and let's come back to two things. There's a minimum amount that you need for your project. Okay, so we know what, when you say funds needed, what are funds needed? You need money, you need resources. So we define funds needed as those funds that we need to continue, the funds needed if things continue to get worse at the same level of slippage. So each time you look at what you have budgeted and still you are not meeting up, you are now bringing extra funds to try and address the issues you are trying to control. So we're talking about the funds that you need extra funds to address the issues that are affecting the project. And there's what we call minimum funds. Things don't get worse. So the amount that's set aside, the funds that are needed if things do not get worse. So no matter what happens, okay, you look at your original budget divided by the cost performance index, which is still saying that, remember I said that if you are over budgeting or you enter the over budget aspect, you're on the negative. You're under budget, is also a problem. So there should be a minimum level where you can say that you are achieving success. Okay. Positive variance is also false understanding. Okay. Okay. All right. So I think I'll stop. Let's stop here tonight and let me take your questions. Okay. Yes, you should be able to strike a balance. What we are saying is this: whether you are selling akara, that is a bean cake, or you are making cake, or you submitted a bid to supply tissue, paper, or notebooks to a school or a hotel or wherever, whatever project you are engaged in, there should be a planned estimate, because it is what you will work with. It is what you will give out. And then on the project, you will know your actual. It is based on that you can calculate your variance. You can't calculate you can't calculate variance in abstract, except you want to just project. You want to now say you want to have a projected end value, which sometimes may be difficult. But it's very important to understand that um, for everything, every project, no matter how small it is, whether it's 1 naira, whether it's 100,000 naira, whether it's $50 billion, you must know your planned value. You must know the actual. And it's what guides or helps you to know whether you are on the positive, on the over budget, under budget, or there's a balance. So it's very important. Okay. So now I'm sure there would be questions. So in the next class, we'll continue on variance. This is actually where um, the explanation itself is. Okay. Where you can know your end value and your projected and your planned value. So if your schedule variance is positive, you're on head. If it's negative, you are behind. If it is 0, you're on schedule. Okay, the same thing with cost. Okay, so when if your project is if you under budget, positive cost variance. If you over budget, is negative. And if you're on 0, your project is on budget. So you need to be on 0. So you don't even need to be on positive or negative in this instance. So you can see your cost variance and you see your scheduled variance. So the cost variance is where you have actual, okay, less the end, okay, 1 million subtracted by 800, that's the actual is 800, and then your end value is 200,000 naira. Your scheduled variance is the difference between your planned value and the end value. So we stop there, and I think we'll still have some recap in the next class. I want everybody to understand. It's very beautiful if you understand this. It's very beautiful. What it will tell you is that, in fact, you can just sit down and you can just you draft your budget. Sometimes you may not even be the one handling the budget. When the person comes to tell you, the person in charge, the finance person comes to tell you, starts doing some mathematics for you, and you're lost. But when you have an idea, you know, when you have an idea, it helps you better. Okay. All right. So let's take some questions as we take a pause tonight on this. I think the network is really, the network is not really helping tonight. Okay. As a project manager, how will you generate funds if activities don't go as planned, if you have over budgeted or under budgeted? Okay. Yes. Okay. Now, Ogolua, I would say two things to you very quickly. Number one is when you're budgeting for your project, please, this, you see, what we are treating today is part of the competing constraints. Remember when we did competing constraint diagram? Remember time, remember cost. So these two things determine greatly whatever your end value would be. Have it at the back of your mind. Okay? Whatever the outcome you're going to have as your end value, cost and time are key constraints that would affect it. Okay? So if for any reason that for one constraint or the other you cannot control, you have to go back to the project sponsor, make a case for change management or additional funding. But if the funding, if the over budget is as a result of mismanagement of the project by the project manager, then I doubt if the sponsor of the project would wish to add more funds to the project. Okay. All right. I think I've answered your question. Under budgeting, can be there can be a lot of reasons why you're under budget. Is it that you're trying to manage resources or micromanage resources, or naturally the price of some of the items for the resources were handled? So it all depends on a lot of some key indices. Okay. Then the sorry, Egovi. Okay, but I think it will come in handy for you as a project manager. Okay, some of the things we're doing tonight is not really to make you feel as if you're going back to mathematical classes. But believe me, like I told you previously, and I will reiterate that again tonight, you will thank me later, or you thank Ladies in Tech Africa for providing this platform where you can learn some of the basics of project management that can make you go places, and there are things you would see or you encounter later in life that you will say, yes, really, I think I'm glad I've really made I've taken this step. Okay. Right. Sorry for the network bookie. Okay. I think I also have that network issues at some point. The explanation of end value sounds the same as cost variance. Now, you know why I brought different explanations to this is for you to understand. If you don't pick it as end value, you pick it as the variance. So that variance, there's something you gain. There's something you gain after you budget, you plan. This is the planning you've made, and this is what you spent. That variance is your end value. Whatever you get as a result, it could be in value in terms of cost, it could be in other terms. So whatever you get. All right. Okay. I think Adeni, I think I've answered you, right? So I just chose different metrics to bring all these things to understanding. So if you don't get the first line, you get the second, you get the third, you got the fourth, you got the fifth. So it's all the same thing, but I'm trying to use different terminologies for you to understand it. Okay. So don't be bothered about the terminology. pick the explanation, get the understanding. Okay. Now, if you look at this diagram right now on your screen, what are you seeing? Cost variance in terms of what? What is the project bringing on board for you? What are you earning? Then when you talk about schedule variance, it talks about the progress of the project. So one is talking about the progress made on the project as a result of the task you are involved in. And the other is talking about the what? The cost implication. The cost implication. So I think these are things. So in the next class, I'm still going to dedicate 30 minutes to explain again about end value. On your own, you can also try to, if you wish to dig up, do some more research or get more understanding, no problem. But I am still going to take that again. So go back, watch the slides again of this particular class. And if you're yet to pick any understanding, please reach out on the platform created for this purpose. I would definitely provide clarity so that every one of us would understand better. I want to ensure that every one of us become a better project manager. All right. So, on behalf of Ladies in Tech Africa, I want to say a wonderful big thank you to everyone who has made it tonight. Like I said, it's going to be a different class from what we have had all week long. So I'm sure you can agree with me that it is indeed a different class. Okay, so all right. So please, Sophie Educate, please try to reach out to the community manager. Okay, they would, from there you can get to receive your giveaway. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. It's been interesting. Have a wonderful evening ahead and see you once again midweek. On behalf of myself and Miss Nancy Baba Ali, it's me signing out. Good night, everyone.